What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another NFL show. We got a great episode put together for you guys here for this week 6 slate. Chock full of some free picks, some breakdowns, and some analysis. But before we get into that, we do need to jump over there to the Guy Boston Sports website. Now, week in and week out, that is where I put my final plays for each week slate. So make sure you check that out, man. It's going to be down there in that pinned comment. So let's go ahead and jump over there and recap our plays from week number 5. Let's see what we put in for that and how it all ended up going down. Man, we had ourselves another good week there in week 5, man. We put 8 plays in. We cashed on 7 of them, 7-1 on the day. We hit on our plus money cash out as well. So we're going to be giving out a little bit of money here in this video again. And man, we hit on our dog of the week as well. Plus 175 play, full unit on the Bucks money line. That was a cash of 7-1 on the day. And man, that's 15-3 over the last 2 weeks. That's profitable weeks in 4 out of these first 5 weeks to start off the season. So we're having a good little run here to open up this NFL year, man. Let's go ahead and have a good week again here in week 6. Roll that positive energy right here into this week as well, man. So guys, make sure you smash that like button down there for me. Hit subscribe if you have not already. Now, before we dive into this week's slate, we got to give away a little bit of money, man. We got that plus money cash out. It does cash out again. So, man, for the week 5 winner, it is going to be Boston Nick. You are that random commenter down below that wins that $10 Amazon gift card based off this plus money cash out, man. So make sure you hit me up over there on Instagram or my email. I'm going to have both those contacts down there in the pinned comment and in the description as well. So you got 2 different places you can find it. Make sure you hit me up. That way I can send that Amazon gift card out your way. And Nakeem Steely, man, you won it the week before. I'm just still waiting to hear from you, brother, so make sure you hit me up. That way I can get that money out to you as well. So, guys, there's nothing else to do now but to dive into the first segment. That's going to be the prop playbook. That's where we're going over our favorite player props on the day. Let's go ahead and jump right over to Outlier. That way we can break down this first play here today. And first off, I'm looking at Dillon Gabriel, rookie quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, making his second start. I'm taking him to throw an interception here against the Steelers. Now, it's sitting at minus 165 now. It was sitting at minus 155 earlier in the week when I caught it. It was already juice, and now we're getting a little more juice, but it does make sense, so we're still going to go over it here, man. You could use it as a parlay piece as well if that's just a little bit too high for you, but you look at him on the year, right? Only made 1 start so far. That was against the Vikings last week, and he had a good game, man. It was a decent debut. Now, we scroll on down, and we can see that the Browns are passing at a 63% rate as opposed to a 37% run rate, which I don't really like for him, right? You know, rookie quarterback, and you got a good running back there in Quinshon Judkins. I would lean into that run game a little bit more, especially against this Pittsburgh defense, right? You scroll over here, now they've had their troubles, but one thing that they have not had trouble with is forcing turnovers. They're sitting at 4th in terms of interceptions. If you scroll on down here and look at the matchup as well, you can see that they're getting after the quarterback, man, right? Cleveland sitting at 17th in terms of sacks given up, 26th in terms of hits, and 28th in terms of QB hurries allowed. You look over here at Pittsburgh, man, they're 2nd for sacks, 2nd for hits, 5th in terms of hurries. So I definitely like that for this play here, man. I think that they're going to be able to get after Gabriel and make things a little bit tough on him. You look at Pittsburgh too, man, they're coming off of a bye, right? They're at home here. So this is Dillon Gabriel's first game against an AFC North opponent on the road in Pittsburgh, man. It's a tough test, right? This is a tough test, man. So Pittsburgh blitzing at the 2nd highest rate as well, resulting in the 11th highest pressure frequency. I think they make things kind of tough on Gabriel. Like I said, man, I could see him throwing 1 pick in this one. So I like this play here. I liked it a lot better at that minus 155. But like I said, man, you can still use this as a parlay piece. Or if you want to play it straight even, you still can. Minus 165 is juice, but there's still profit there, man. And like I always say, profit is profit, and we will take that at the end of the day. So it's going to be my first play here. Dillon Gabriel throwing a pick. And I guess I'm fading the quarterbacks, man, because my second play, I'm looking at Tua of the Dolphins, right? Throwing under 226.5 passing yards. That's sitting at minus 115 over there at BetMGM and Hard Rock Bet. Now, you can get some other, if you're not on those sports books there, you can get some other looks, right? You're just not going to get as good of a number there under 225 and below, right? There's some more options out there if you don't have BetMGM or Hard Rock Bet. But yeah, I would look at that 226.5 if you have either of these sports books available to you. Now, if you look at Tua on the year, hitting under this mark in 3 of his 5 games, a 60% hit rate, averaging 201 yards per game. You look at the Chargers, man, right? Sitting at 4th in terms of passing yards allowed. And then we scroll on down, look at that Chargers defense against that Miami Dolphins offense. Chargers sitting at 6th for sacks, 12th for hits, and 10th for hurries. Now, the Dolphins are sitting at 3rd in terms of QB hits. But man, they're definitely letting, the defense get back there, right? 31st in terms of QB hurries, 17th in terms of sacks allowed. Man, Tua does struggle with, with pressure, right? And against the zone as well. And the Chargers play zone 65% of the time, as opposed to just 35% of the time in man coverage. If we scroll on down here and look as well, man, in 4 prior games, we've seen that the quarterbacks have gone under their passing mark, under their passing yards, excuse me, 3 out of the 4 last games. The one going up and over was Jaden Daniels, and not by a large margin either, right? 231 yards. His number was sitting at 204 and a half. So I like this one as well. Under 226 and a half passing yards, sitting at minus 115. That's going to take us into our plus money cash out, guys. Let's go ahead and jump over to Outlier. I'm going to be looking at Evan McPherson of my Bengals. Field goals made over 1.5. That's sitting at plus 125 over there at BetMGM and Hard Rock Bet. Now, we can see on the year, he's not gone up and over this mark yet, right? 1 field goal in each game. But here's the thing, he has not missed a field goal either. So he's been accurate, man. He's been on point. There just has not been a lot of opportunities for him because, well, this offense has just been absolutely dreadful, right? 29th in terms of scoring. And you can see down the list, man, you will like bottom 5, bottom 10, pretty much everything, right? Been a horrible, horrible display offensively for this team. But we do know that there's been a trade, right? Joe Flacco is now in town, so I do expect a little bit more from this Bengals offense. How much more, time's going to tell, right? But here's the thing, they're going up against a Green Bay Packer defense that is, sitting at 12th in terms of field goals allowed, and it's a good defense, man. Now, Green Bay plays a ton of zone defense, and Flacco has had some success against this throughout his time in the NFL, right? And I do think that he's going to be able to get the ball out to these playmakers in Cincy better than we've seen in recent weeks. But 5 days after being brought in and going up against a Green Bay defense at second DVOA against the pass and getting the ninth highest pressure frequency on the quarterback, leads me to believe that we're going to see a handful of drives just stall out, right? I think that they get down the field a little bit better than they have in recent weeks, but we're still going to see a lot of these drives stall out, in my opinion, which is going to give Evan a lot of opportunities to knock in a couple field goals and cash this for us. So I like this one here for the plus money cash out this week. Evan McPherson to hit 2 field goals, plus 125 over there at BetMGM. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for the player props. Time to dive into the quick hits where we break down the entire slate, give a little bit of a quick analysis on it, and my favorite play of that game. So let's go ahead and jump into the first game, 9:30 a.m. kickoff time. We'll be heading overseas for this one. The Denver Broncos taking on the New York Jets. Now, in this one, I'll be looking at the Jets and a team total under 18.5. You can get that at minus 125 over there at DraftKings. You look at the Jets, they are third for rushing yards per game, but they sit at just 19th in terms of points per game. Denver is 10th for total defensive DVOA, giving up the 8th fewest yards through the air and the 5th fewest on the ground. They rank second for points per game allowed at just under 17 points per game. Now, in an overseas game where the Broncos defense is by far and away the best unit on the field, man, I think fading the Jets offense is our best look in this one. So that's where I'd be going with this first game, the Jets team total under 18.5. Next game, going to be kicking off the 1 p.m. game, Seahawks and the Jaguars. These defenses, man, they've been two of the better defenses on the year, right? And I expect the Seahawks to bounce back from last week, especially on that side of the ball after a tough down-to-the-wire game against the Bucks last week. Seattle is 8th for total DVOA defensively, and while just 17th against the pass, Jacksonville is only 21st for passing offense DVOA. They're sitting at second in the running game, but Seattle comes in at second DVOA against the run and are giving up the third fewest rushing yards per game, the second fewest yards per carry. The Jags, they're sitting at fourth for total defensive DVOA, ninth against the run, fourth against the pass. Both these teams are top 10 for points given up so far this season. So 47.5 line, it feels slightly high here, man. I'm going to lean under looking at this one, under 47.5. The next up, we'll be looking at the Cowboys and the Panthers. Man, Dallas is putting up points with the best of them, right? They've looked good offensively for sure, man. Fourth for points per game at 30 points per game. Sixth for total offensive DVOA, man. But the Panthers, they're going to be back home here for back-to-back weeks, while the Cowboys, they're back on the road for the second straight game. Carolina, they've been much better at home as well, 2-0 to open up the year. They're solid on the ground, man. Second for rushing yards per game at home, 10th overall in the run DVOA. Dallas, they're just 22nd defending the run DVOA, 31st overall defensively DVOA, man. They're giving up a ton of points, just over 30 points per game. Bryce Young has struggled against man coverage, but looked better when facing zone. Cowboys play more zone defense than anyone else in the league, first overall at just under 77% of their defensive snaps. So give me the home dogs in this one, man. I'll catch those 3.5 points with the Panthers. The next game I'm looking at, Chargers and the Dolphins. I'd be looking at the Chargers in this one, laying those 3.5 points, man. They're banged up, right? But it feels like a nice bounce back spot for them, man, despite being a little banged up coming into this one. They're sitting at ninth in the run DVOA, gaining the sixth most yards per carry, while the Dolphins are just 29th DVOA against the run. They're giving up the most rushing yards per game across the entire NFL. Miami plays more zone than man and blitz at the fourth highest frequency in the league, but Justin Herbert does play better against zone over man, and man, he reacts well to the blitz as well. So Tua's also had his struggles this season. We already talked about that with one of our player props earlier this year, kind of fading him on those passing yards, right? There's no Tyreek to help him in this regard either. These Chargers are giving up the fourth fewest yards through the air. They sit at 11th DVOA defending against the pass. So I'm going to lean with the Chargers in this one, laying those 3.5 points. Then we'd be looking at the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'd be looking at the Steelers laying those 4.5. Now, Pittsburgh's going to be home here. They're fresh off of a bye. Mike Tomlin, he's 14-4 straight up after a bye week. I can't fade the Steelers here in this one, man. Cleveland traveling back from Europe with Gabriel making his second start ever against a defense that gets after the quarterback, second for hits, fifth for hurries, second in sacks. We just talked about this one as well, right? Fading Gabriel, him throwing an interception in this one. Despite the yards given up through the air, like I said, they've been forcing a ton of interceptions, man. Give me Pittsburgh in this one all day long. And next up, going to be the Patriots and the Saints. We'll be looking at the total in this one as well. New Orleans has been pretty run heavy, and these Patriots, man, they sit at eighth for run defense DVOA, ninth for points allowed. The Saints are just 22nd for total offensive DVOA, 27th for points scored per game, and defensively, they're just 20th against the run, but they are 10th in terms of passing yards allowed per game. So this Patriot offense that relies heavily on Drake May and the passing attack, man, that's ninth DVOA, they just may be slowed down to some degree here. So I'm going to lean under looking at this one. I'll take an under 46.5. And we got the Rams taking on the Ravens in Baltimore, man. Rams are favorites here on the road. After starting 2-0, the Rams have dropped two of their last three, but those came at the hands of a 4-1 San Francisco 49er team, the 4-2 Eagles, and then in between those, there was a win over the 4-1 Colts. So not an easy three-game stretch by any means, right? That loss to the Eagles was also in Philadelphia. And they were in both of those games, right? Both of those losses, they were in those games, man. So the Rams have had a very, very good season to start off the year. I'm really impressed with them on both sides of the ball, man. The Ravens, they've lost three straight. They sit at 1-4. They're down superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson amongst a host of other players, man. Baltimore has just been crushed with the injury bug here early in the season. This Ravens team has really had a hard go to open up the year, man. It's hard to fade them at home here with such a large number, right? But I'd be hesitant to take the points with them still, man. They're sitting at just 15th for offensive DVOA. They're 26th defensively and just 22nd for total DVOA overall. The Rams, man, they're 12th defensively, first offensively, and fourth overall, right? Like I said, been a good season for the Rams so far this year, man. I like them to bounce back here. I'm not sure that I would get there on the spread, right? And that money line, it's super, super juiced. So maybe this is a parlay piece with another juiced money line that we find later on here in the slate. Because I do like the Rams on the side here. I'm just not sure I want to lay that many points with them on the road. They have played in some close games this year. Uh, Baltimore's just ravaged by injuries, though. So it's the Rams or nothing here for me. I'm just not sure how I want to play that one quite yet. And next up, looking at the Arizona Cardinals and the Indianapolis Colts. This may be that parlay piece, actually, man. We're looking at the Cardinals. They just continue to find ways to lose games, man. Three straight losses in heartbreaking fashion, right? The Colts, on the other hand, they've started off the season 4-1, with three of those four wins coming in blowout fashion. They're favored by a touchdown, which feels a little high to me. Like I said, maybe this is that parlay piece. They have gone 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 games as a favorite. They're 8-1 straight up in those games. So I don't like the money line here, right? Indy is 3-0 at home so far this year, while the Cardinals' only wins come in a one-possession game with the lowly Saints and the Panthers. I'll lean with the Colts here on the side, man, but like I said, I think this might be that parlay piece, right? Maybe we parlay the Colts on the money line with the Rams on the money line here, get some more favorable odds because I do like both of them on the sides, end of the day. And next up, we're going to be kicking off the 4 p.m. games with an ugly one, man. The Tennessee Titans and the Las Vegas Raiders, two 1-4 teams. This one, like I said, it's just super ugly, man. How do I lay points with a team that's lost 4 straight and they come in off of a 34-point loss last week? Right? But how do I get behind the Titans, who very easily could be 0-5 here after narrowly escaping Arizona with a win last week? So you look at this and you think about fading these offenses, right? And playing an under as the Raiders are just 29th DVOA offensively, while the Titans come in dead last, 32nd overall. These defenses are horrendous as well, man. So that's questionable. I don't know where to go with this one, just being real with you guys, man. I don't see myself playing anything in this game. If I had to pick, I'd probably just take the points here with the dog, but neither team has inspired me to run through the window and make a play back at either of them here in this one. So this is probably just one that I stay off of altogether. The next up, going to be looking at the Cincinnati Bengals and the Green Bay Packers. Now, This is a really big line, man, and if the Bengals were just haplessly rolling out Jake Browning for another 2 touchdowns, 17 pick performance, I'd happily jump all over laying these points with Green Bay, but the trade for Flacco at least makes me hesitant to pull the trigger. Flacco has a better arm than Jake, sure. He reads the field better, and he has that experience factor that Browning just doesn't have. But this is still the same struggling offensive line, the same tired offensive scheme from Zach Taylor, which I ultimately believe has been the biggest issue for the Bengals, not just this season, but for the past few seasons, man. Everybody knows what they're doing. But anyways, Flacco may have beaten this Packers team with the Browns a couple weeks ago, right? But this Bengals defense doesn't hold a breath to Cleveland's. They're third from last for defensive DVOA, so I'm not sure that how much of an advantage that is here. It's not like the Browns or Flacco went in there and like destroyed this Green Bay defense, right? They scored 13 points and won that one on the heels of their on their defense, right? So the Packers are coming in at 11th offensive DVOA, fifth for passing. And I don't trust the Bengals secondary here. I don't trust anyone outside of Hendrickson to get any kind of consistent pressure on Love either. So I think the Packers rolling this one, man. I like the move for Flacco. Don't get me wrong. I think he can definitely help lift this team to some degree and possibly keep them in contention as the weeks go on. But he'll be making his first start on the road here in Green Bay against the Packers team that's third defensive DVOA, second against the pass. I think we see Cincy move the ball better than we've seen in the past few weeks, but also see a handful of drives just stall out where they'll have to settle for field goals. Um, I'm just not sure how they get stops consistently enough on the other end to keep up with Green Bay. So I like the Packers on the side. I don't mind it over here either because at 44.5, Green Bay may just get us there themselves. You know what I mean? I could see Green Bay scoring up into the 40s here against this Bengals defense. So a Packers team total over shouldn't be off the table either, man. There's a lot of different ways you could look at this game here. I think the Packers on the side would be where I'm leaning. Even at that 14.5, I would take them on the side as my lean. I would lean over, and I would also look at a Green Bay Packers team total over, like I said. So I'll stop fading my guys in stripes, man, eventually, just not this week. Not this week, man. And next up, going to be looking at the San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Baker has been playing himself into MVP conversations, man, and the 49ers are still pretty beat up, right? Bucks are at home here. San Francisco stays in the zone coverage at the eighth highest frequency rate in the league, and Baker tends to play exceptionally better against the zone over man coverage. 49ers do have a solid passing attack, man, with backup quarterback Mac Jones going 3-0 since moving into the starting role for injured Purdy. But the Bucks are blitzing at the fifth highest rate, resulting in the eighth highest pressure frequency, man. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here and lay those 2.5 points with the Bucks. Next up, we're going to be looking at that Sunday night football game, and that takes me into our dog of the week, man. I am looking at the Lions on the money line with plus money up against these Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Lions have an extra day of rest here with the Chiefs having just played last Monday night, man. I'm just not understanding this line right here. Kansas City, they are home, right? They're coming in off of a loss, sure, but they started the season in that same exact scenario. They went 0-2, losing at home to Philly after losing to LA the week prior, right? So they lost on the road. They came back home and they lost again. So we've already seen them in the same scenario and they failed. You know what I mean? So their wins aren't super impressive on paper either. You look at the Chiefs, right? Both double-digit wins, sure, but one over the young New York Giants in week 3, and then their other at home against an injury-depleted Ravens team. So the Chiefs, man, they haven't really been the Chiefs. You know what I mean? It hasn't been as impressive, or they don't look as intimidating. They just don't look like the Chiefs. The Lions, meanwhile, they stumbled in week 1 against Green Bay, but have since won 4 straight games, 3 of those 4 by multiple scores, averaging 40 points per game over those last 4 games as well. Now, having Xavier Worthy back in the mix definitely helps that Kansas City passing attack, but they've gotten little in the run department, right? Just 22nd DVOA, and defensively they struggled against the run as well. Detroit's coming in at 4th DVOA for both their passing and run game, second overall defensively DVOA. They sit at first for total DVOA overall in the entire NFL. The Chiefs, ninth overall, ninth offensively, and 12th defensively. So, man, how often are we going to get the Lions here as a dog at plus money, right? Yeah, and don't forget also that these Lions went into Kansas City and beat these Chiefs by 1 in a close game a couple years back, right? So I'm all over Detroit here, man. Give me the Lions on the money line. Now, if that money line scares you, okay. But the points definitely should, man. Looking at it from a recent trends perspective, Kansas City just 6-13 against the spread in their last 19 games. The Lions covering at just under a 71% hit rate dating all the way back to 2021. 51, 21, and 1 51, 21, and 1. So catching the points with Detroit is another route that you could take here in this one. that is going to wrap it up here for the Week 6 slate, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. Hit subscribe if you have not already. And that is going to wrap it up, man. Hope you guys have yourselves a great Week 6 and we all cash out. And I'll see you back for week number 7.